Hello everyone. So today we are live here from South Korea. We are at the blockchain week, and we are meeting a bunch of interesting people for the our Tech Lunch and Chat podcast. Today I'm here with Jeroen from Persistence actually project, and Jeroen has been building some very interesting application there for the Bitcoin and the EVM in the EVM space, and we're here actually to learn a little bit about what is it that he's being up to, and what is his background, and all the interesting stuff that we like to talk and cover in our podcast. So Jeroen, do you wanna actually to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, awesome to do this, and awesome to have met you here at this conference. It's been a good conference so far, and it's been fun to be out here in Korea. Hey everyone, my name is Jeroen. I'm the CEO of Persistence. Maybe let me start with a little background about myself, right? So I actually started my career after graduating in business engineering in Belgium. Started my career actually in financial services and in consulting. So started off mostly like being, in a way, like a tech consultant initially, but then went more over to the strategic side of things. Did a lot on the risk management side. Traveled the world a little bit with that, like lived for a long time in Paris. Then moved to Singapore, did similar things there, worked for all the big banks in a way, helped them to run risk-related projects. So did that for a couple of years. Was nice and exciting, but at some point I wanted to do something a little bit more entrepreneurial. And I joined a startup in Singapore that was like literally just launched. That was a startup in fashion tech. So not a lot of people know that, but I actually have a background in fashion, I would say. It's a bit funny, but we basically made suits and shirts and everything like made to measure for men. Yep. In a fully like online environment, but also we had showrooms as well. Yep. So people could come in, get measured, and basically we keep the measurements in the system and like keep the profile continuously up to date. So that you can order anytime, you can order clothes made to your measurements, so you never have to worry about something is too small or too big.
That's definitely very different from crypto, yeah.
Very different, but that's actually, it's very tech enabled, like it's, as I said, it's fashion tech, so the point was really to bring the tech to fashion and make it easy, that process where you don't have to deal with returns and things like that. It worked quite well. We did actually very well, like in Singapore. We were part of the top 100 fastest growing companies in Singapore for like 2 years in a row. We expanded also to London, and we're actually one of the biggest made-to-measure tailors in London. Right. So business did quite well, it was fun as well. But after a couple of years, so 5 or 6 years, things slowed down quite a bit due to something called COVID.
So you got into that bag.
Correct. Well, COVID, what happened is like there were no events, there were no people going to the office, and turns out our main business was actually for people who actually go to the office and need suits and shirts, people who do weddings who need suits and shirts.
So people that were just like dressing up in their pajamas the whole day wasn't your key audience.
That didn't help. So we had to slow down the business quite a bit, and we luckily did quite well, and we survived, and the business is still running. But I decided to get out operationally. Yep. And to leave it to the two other founders to kind of keep it running now. And I started to focus more and more on something that was actually very interesting at the time and very dynamic, which was crypto. Yep. So that's kind of how I got back into crypto. I did a bit before, like just on my own, like investing a little bit, but really due to COVID, kind of got back to crypto. Right. And kind of reconnected with an old colleague of mine from my consulting days who was already in crypto for a while, and he had started a company named Persistence. Right. And I got back into touch with him, and kind of got convinced or got excited to join his company and help him kind of grow it from there. So that's a pretty long introduction.
So no, that's all good. We like actually people actually to keep the human side actually when they come to the podcast. So we like actually the long form conversations where we get to know people a little bit better. So do you want actually to give us a little bit of like a background around Persistence itself? How what is it that actually that the protocol, the business do, and where did you guys actually come from, or was actually the initial ideas around the protocol, and where you're going from here?
Yeah, absolutely. So with persistence, what we try to solve for is the problem of fragmentation that is currently arising in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So for those who follow Bitcoin closely, there's a more recent trend that a lot of Bitcoin L2s start to pop up, which is like layer 2s on which you can actually do a lot of things like transactions and DeFi activities on Bitcoin, which itself, like the layer 1 of Bitcoin, is not really made for that. It's not really programmable in that way. So there's a lot of layer 2s coming up to make that or bring that programmability to Bitcoin, or at least use Bitcoin security to still be able to do DeFi but secured by Bitcoin. And what we see there is like very fragmented in nature, and what we actually try to solve for is to connect all these layer 2s with each other, because all of these layer 2s are kind of connecting back to the base layer, the layer 1, but they're not really looking at connecting between each other. And actually what we saw in Ethereum DeFi is actually very important for these L2s to kind of be interconnected. There's huge amounts of bridging volume between those. So what we actually figured out is like we want to facilitate that and be really like a bridge between the different L2s that come up, but focused on BTC. And the additional issue that BTC has is that there's so many different forms of BTC. You know, every different like L2 has their own form of BTC, all with like their different trust assumptions, and it's getting very hard for users to kind of navigate and switch from one form of BTC to another. And that's why we're here to facilitate. That's what we do, and to make that like very simple and straightforward for users and protocols. It's like a B2B2C type of play.
Like to connect all of the different like staking solutions from those different L2s into a kind of like a coordinated kind of like liquid aggregation protocol.
Yeah,
is that the best way that you would categorize
it is. I mean, yeah, we try to kind of bring liquidity there, but the liquidity actually comes from market makers that come in like as solvers in this protocol. So I didn't mention, but this protocol is intent based, which means that as a user you kind of just say what you want. So let's say I want my BTC A from or on chain A to be bridged to BTC B on chain B. And basically there's these market makers who have liquidity pools, or they have liquidity access, a little bit of inventory on both of the sides. And they'll basically say, okay, I'll take your BTC A on chain A and I'll give you my BTC B on chain B. And that's how I fulfill the trade. And they will then rebalance their portfolio, but they take a small fee for that. But basically these market makers have access to a global network of liquidity. They're tapped into different exchanges, whether it's DEXs or SEXs. So that's kind of how we solve for that.
Yeah, so for the listeners that actually are not necessarily kind of like crypto natives, so DEXs is like short for decentralized exchange, and SEXs is more like for the centralized exchange, so the likes of Coinbase or Binance. So yeah, that looks like a very interesting kind of like project that you guys actually have going on. And where are you now in terms of like the development phase of the project, and what is the next stage for you guys?
Yeah, so currently we're in the testing phase. So we've done everything on our DevNet, so everything kind of works there. We've kind of had the proof of concept run there. We've done demos internally. We're aiming to launch our testnet later this month. So we're in the month of September, so it should be somewhere like late September. We aim to go live with a testnet of at least, let's say, 3 networks that we want to kind of facilitate this bridge for. And then mainnet should be later this year, somewhere towards the end of Q4. Also there we'll start with a selected like few layer 2s that we will start connecting. We obviously have the intention to do all of the bigger ones and where the users are, but we have to start small in a way and like tackle one by one and bring them securely onto the platform. But so hopefully mainnet launch, if everything goes well, later this year. And from there onwards, it's expansion, it's partnerships, and so initially it's going to be really connecting the layer 2s, but then in the second step is what I mentioned, like we're B2B2C. It's really integrating with different dApps in each of the ecosystems to make it very easy for users to kind of bring in their whatever form of BTC they have into those applications specifically.
And are you considering also like including like a liquid staking BTC funds?
Absolutely, yes. That is also a very important form of BTC, and I think it will be I hope ideally, like within DeFi, it will be the main driver also of adoption. In a way, like I think it's better to have a liquid staked version of BTC than like a normal BTC, because actually it earns yield, and I like yield.
Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah.
And I think a lot of like Bitcoiners and people that actually have been having actually BTC actually kind of like on their, essentially getting dust on their balance sheets for corporates or in their wallets for individuals. I'm going to be actually quite excited about the possibility of potentially having a more trusted form of Bitcoin that they understand whether it comes from a layer 2A or a layer 2B, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing there is going to be very important is for users to still be aware of like what each form of BTC brings in terms of risks, because we will make it very easy to swap between them. And in a way, my thesis is that these assets will be priced according to the risk. So I do think that one BTC on chain A will not be the same value as one BTC on chain B, and it will not be the same as one BTC on the actual main layer. I think there will be a slight discrepancy in prices, and I do actually hope to see that price difference in a way so that we can see if we can market price the risk of each of these assets, and I do think that will be very interesting experiment.
So guys, keep an eye on there for maybe some ratings agency coming into the picture in the future to be able to price appropriately all of that people are taking on the different layer 2. So that's going to be a very interesting prospect. Looking forward to that. So Jeroen, I won't take you much longer of your time. So it's been great actually to have you having a chat with us and with our audience. I think Andre, my partner that is now in New Zealand, it's going to be really excited about our chat as well. So
awesome, man. It's been an honor to be on, and it's been a pleasure as well, man.
Yeah, awesome. So everybody kind of keep an eye out for persistence. This is a promising project that is coming around the corner.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Thank you, mate.